welcome to the Tea and a Buddy podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
Today's episode, we're going to be talking about New York City. New York City.
New York City.
That's the old Pace Picante commercial there.
Yes, why you know that, I don't know.
Because I know everything about your culture. And your adverts.
Oh my god.
And your people.
I feel like we've done this podcast.
Have we done this podcast? If you're a long-time listener, we are sorry.
You guys, we've been going like a year and a half. If you're a long-time listener, you might hear some things you've already heard at this point. I don't know, because it's hard for us to like keep up with everything we've talked about, you know.
And eventually, you know, the topic well will run dry.
Well, we get requests from people. Like this topic was a request from one of our patrons, actually.
Yeah.
A while ago.
A long time ago.
And so maybe that's what I'm thinking of, but you know, we get requests from people and we try to get around to doing, you know, requests when we can. And you know, it's possible that some people are going to want to hear the same types of topics sometimes. Yeah. And so, you know, unless we go back and listen to every single one of our podcasts we've ever recorded.
Yeah.
We don't know if we've mentioned this before. I don't think we've done one just solely on New York City before. So together we've only been to New York once. Together, yeah.
Yeah, and that was our honeymoon in December 2010.
Yeah.
So 10 years ago.
Last time I've been to New York City?
New York City?
Oh, jeez. We're not going to do that every time, are we?
Yeah, we are. Oh, yeah.
Wow. 10 years ago was the last time I went to New York?
10 years.
Wow, it doesn't feel like that
It's
long
changed
ago.
a lot in that time.
You know, the older you get, the faster time flies, and that's not just something people say. It's
it is, really, because, I mean, I can't really believe that I've been here for 10 years.
Yeah.
Because that was when I moved here, it was 2010.
Mm-hmm. In what? Like the end of October or something?
End of October? Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe the beginning of October.
So October is my 10-year anniversary in the USA.
Yeah.
And we're going to have cake, and we're going to have fireworks, and we're going to shut down the country.
Oh, gee, that'll be a stretch.
Maybe just shut down the state, yeah. Put it all into lockdown.
But yeah, I've been to New York several times, but I think we're going to focus on, because the patron who requested this topic is British, I think we're going to focus on, like, the British
aspect.
Yeah, the British perspective of New York City.
Which is my perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Do you want to ask me questions?
Oh, okay. Sure.
Have you got questions ready? No?
Well,
because I wrote them, that's why.
It looks like you've taken care of that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because we'll talk about things. We'll have little stories and stuff from our time in New York City.
So I think we've got a few, like, main points that we want to cover, and then I'm sure we'll go off topic, because if you listen to these podcasts...
We just get on a tangent.
We always do. We always go off
time.
Topic. We very rarely stay on topic.
I'm drinking this, just to keep in line with the Tea and a Buddy theme here, I'm drinking this raspberry and blueberry... Tetley, like...
Yeah, what do you think of that tea?
It's quite nice, actually. I really enjoy it.
It's like a speed up your metabolism tea.
I'd never heard of it before, and it's quite nice, actually.
It's like drinking a warm blueberry pie. I don't really get too much raspberry.
Who wouldn't want to drink a warm blueberry pie?
And I just finished my cup of tea, if anyone wants to know what it was. I actually don't remember the brand of it, but it was like... Cinnamon drinking
something?
Liquid red hot candies.
Yeah!
It was very cinnamony, yeah. It was pretty good. Anyway, New York City. See, we've already gone off topic.
New York City.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what were your perceptions of New York before visiting? So what were your ideas? What did you think New York City was going to be like before you got there?
I, like the majority of the planet that don't have access to New York City, saw it in movies.
Yeah.
you know, like Home Alone 2, well, pretty much every movie, really, isn't it? And, trying to think of other movies. It's been so many.
Like Home Alone 2, the only movie that was ever shot in New York City.
The only movie that was ever shot in New York City and does it justice. And it was pretty much that. That's the big one, I think. I mean, obviously there's others like Miracle on 34th Street.
So what did you, I mean, like...
I just thought it was a city. You know, I thought it was like, oh, it's a big city. You know, they've got the yellow cabs, they've got pizza, they've got... skyscrapers, Statue of Liberty, a subway, underground system. I thought, you know, it was just a massive city. I liked the way, and I always thought it looked kind of like, because, you know, most of the movies I saw were like 80s, 90s, and shot in the 80s and 90s, so New York was this kind of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle place, you know, like, you know, people, you don't... You know, grown men are scared of the park. Right. You know, that kind of thing, you know. A
bit grungy.
Grungy, dirty, dangerous. Grimy, you know.
Yeah.
Pizza on the sidewalk. You know, grimy people and, you know, just very dirty, grimy and grungy.
Yeah.
Then, you know, like, as the years went on and people, you know, started showing New York, they cleaned it up, didn't they?
Yeah. Times Square became kind of like Disneyland.
Yeah, right. Yeah, then it started neonifying, if that's even a word, everybody. Just everything was neon. It was brightly lit in Times Square, and nobody wants to go to Times Square because Times Square was really bad in the 80s, wasn't it?
According to people that I know that have been to New York and who lived there at that time, this was before my first visit to New York even, Times Square was like a very seedy area.
There was a lot of like
prostitution and like drugs and all of that kind of stuff. Like that was like the hub for it, which seems weird because in my mind, Times Square was always like a tourist attraction because of the New Year's Eve party.
And that's probably why well, I mean, they've been doing that for years, haven't they? They've been doing that since like the 50s or something.
Well, I'm not sure
whenever they started. Times Square.
But yeah, they cleaned it up. They put a Disney store in Times Square.
And then it became like the happiest place on earth.
Yeah.
It became tourist friendly. It became gentrified.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the prostitutes were shuffled on out of there. The drug users were shuffled on out of there.
Yeah.
They scraped the pizza from the sidewalk. You know. But that's what I kind of like expected. Kind of like, you know, I thought, it's going to be a little bit like that. And I guess in some ways it is, but it's a bit cleaner.
Yeah.
You know, it was a bit cleaner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've only ever really seen New York in movies at night. You know, that's when they shoot the city, isn't it? You know.
Well, it's a pretty nice looking city all lit up, yeah.
Yeah.
So the first time we went to New York or together, I had already I had already been there a few times, and I had in mind the way I wanted him to see it for the first time. So we rode the bus in. We came in from, what was it, LaGuardia or JFK?
LaGuardia.
And
yeah, I wanted to fly into JFK, but we had to go to LaGuardia for whatever reason.
And we were staying way far north, like we were almost in Harlem, I think.
Yeah, we were on the upper west side.
We were quite north of like Midtown. And so the bus took us in. We didn't go anywhere near Midtown, downtown, anything. The bus took us, dropped us off at our hotel, and that was it. Or did it? It dropped us off.
It dropped us off near our hotel. I think we had to walk a bit, didn't we, to get there?
Yeah.
And it was...
Or we maybe even took a
It was
train.
freezing cold because it was December, so...
Yeah. But so we got to
our
hotel.
Shorts on.
Yeah, our socks and sandals. we got to the hotel and we dropped our stuff and we went immediately underground because I wanted his first like impression of the city to be Times Square because that's where all the lights are. That's like,
that's
New York City in quotation marks.
New York City.
So we got on the tube. We got on the subway and we rode all the way to Times Square, and it was like, okay, we came up into Times Square, and that was like your first view of
New York City. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, God. And Dominic is the most annoying person, you guys, because he does not show any, like, enthusiasm or excitement. I don't know if he's trying to, like, come off unimpressed, but he comes off unimpressed, and it just winds me up. No,
my dad is the same way.
It's like, oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah. And I'm just what? No,
I was showing more enthusiasm than that.
You were.
I kicked it out for that. I pulled out all the stops. But, no, I was, my dad's the same way, he's kind of like that too. It's like, it's just something, it's not trying to be, cool and this doesn't impress me. It's just, yeah, this is what I thought it was going to be. It was just, stop laughing. You though, I don't know. You and your first time in London to say,
I'm very American with that. I'm just like, oh my God, this is so cool. I can't believe this. Wow.
Baby, I'm in London.
I'm just like super excited about everything.
That's what she used to say all the time. Baby, I'm in London.
London, baby.
London, baby, yeah.
But anyway, no, I'm exaggerating ever so slightly. You were more impressed coming up.
Yeah, I really liked it. I was like, oh, this is great. Look at that McDonald's sign over there. You remember that? So look at that McDonald's sign, because they've got this like theater style McDonald's sign, like it's a Broadway show,
Yeah. So, okay, so then you came up into Times Square. You saw the lights, you saw the
people,
hoopla,
the hubbub, the kerfuffle.
Yeah. So was New York then what you thought it was going to be?
I think it was going to, it was. I think it instantly translated, translated. It was instantly what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I wasn't unimpressed and I wasn't disappointed. It was exactly as my expectations. It's exactly as I imagined.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was good. I liked it. I loved it.
Was there anything about the city that surprised you or that was unlike what you thought it was going to be?
No, I don't think... Well, no. No, I don't think it was, actually. I think it was exactly as I
It was exactly
pictured.
Like the movies.
Exactly like the movies. Yeah, because, I mean, American movies, people come over here, right? Mm-hmm. And they go on about the red Solo cups in films. And they go, oh, people actually use it. It's just like the movies. Ah. So, that's what it is. It's just like it's just like the movies.
Yeah. It was like the movies come to life for you. Yeah, I remember you saying something about all the yellow cabs or something.
The yellow buses.
No.
The yellow.
Cabs,
yellow cabs. Yeah. Yeah, all the yellow cabs were there. It was exactly like the films. And I don't know if that's what you thought. Because I don't know if you'd ever seen like any films set in London when you went to London. You thought, oh, it's exactly like the films,
Yeah.
Love Actually might have been your thing. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was exactly how I imagined it. I was not disappointed. It was great.
Yeah, so talking about London, a lot of people think that London and New York are similar. How do you feel about that comparison? Can you see it? Can you see the similarity?
I can see the similarity in that it's a big bustling city, especially like the West End and the touristy places. Mm-hmm. But as you get out of the city, probably not. No.
Get out
of Manhattan.
Okay.
Like out of the touristy areas.
Yeah.
They're quite different. Obviously, they're They're on two different countries. They're on two different continents. Even it's just like it's this. There's a similar vibe, but it's not similar.
Yeah, I mean, I am definitely one of these people who sees similarities, and I don't know that there's something that I can really describe, because it's not necessarily the way things look, or it definitely is vibes. It's just similar vibes, and I think it's probably just that they're both such international cities. Like, there's people from absolutely everywhere.
Yes, there's people from absolutely everywhere. Like going in London around and New York.
Like going around London, for instance, you don't really hear the classic like London accent.
No.
You hear Americans, you hear people speaking in other languages, you hear British accents very
sparsely.
Very minimally, actually. Yeah.
It's sparsely, yeah. I mean, you hear from all over the place. It's very cosmopolitan.
And the same is true in New York City. When you're going around New York City, you don't hear the classic New York. I take that back, actually. Because if you get up early enough when, like, the guys are setting up their hot dog stands, or, like, the people are just opening their storefronts or restaurant, whatever, you can sometimes hear them, like... You can't hear that classic New York accent in New York. But just walking around, like, strolling down Park Avenue or something like that. Like,
you're likely to hear British accents or, somewhere else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So in that way, it's very similar to London.
Because, I mean, you're very... I mean, as you say, you're more likely to see, like, people going to work and they're like, all right, mate, in London. So it's
I guess so, yeah. If you get on the tube early in the morning, and go into central London, you can hear a lot of
but I mean,
accents.
you just went further into Britain, so you know about all that.
I think also that the fashion is similar in both cities. Like
fashions.
You see a lot of people...
We're getting to the important topic now. The fashion.
We're just talking about how they're similar, I feel like you see a lot of men in suits.
Yeah.
Because there's big financial districts in both cities. You see a lot of, like, women dressed up, working for magazines or whatever, possibly. The architecture of the old buildings in New York can be sort of similar, I guess, to some of the places in London. I find London to be very white overall, though, and I'm not just talking about the people.
Yeah, I was like very white.
The buildings are all they're quite light colored.
They're they're power blasted.
Yeah,
very clean looking. Yeah,
well,
they're very
I mean the stone and everything.
The stone is very I mean it's done. I think the architecture is kind of like being like replastered or whatever because it's kind of new from whatever.
Yeah. Because in New York City, the older buildings are quite...
The brownstones.
They're brownstones. They're dark red brick. They're, there's not really... I guess, so I say that the architecture is similar. Maybe it's just the design of the buildings.
Well, in New York, you're going to find everything kind of the similar, kind of like... The brownstones are older, but it's like... It's very much like, even like the skyscrapers look like they fit in with them, Yeah. Whereas in London, to contrast of like the old and the new, you've got the new gherkins and the shards and...
All the times we've been to London, we still have never really gone to like...
The financial district?
The new, like, downtown-y type London, have we?
The City of London.
Yeah.
It's called the City of London.
Is
even
it?
has
That's
its own
where
police
all the
force.
skyscrapers are and everything?
Yeah, that's the financial district.
Yeah, we've never been
The City, they call it the City.
We've been just over the river. We had, like, a sandwich just right on the river, but we didn't actually go
into the city.
In anywhere. Yeah, no. But I remember in New York, you got kind of excited when we saw a stoop somewhere. But they do kind of have stoops in London, too, in some places,
Yeah, they do, but not stoops, as in, like... The thing is, a lot of, like, these, like Seinfeld and all that, and Friends, they filmed on a backlot.
Yeah.
Thing. And it was, like, all stoops. It was like a New York street with all the stoops, and that's my New York street, And it's like, that's what I get excited when I see that it's in New York. It's an actual stoop with a street and then everything, someone's sitting on the stoop, looking at people.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Just like in the movies.
Another thing I remember, I think you pointed out, which I had noticed, I think, my first time going to New York too, because it's something like that goes with the Ninja Turtles, for instance.
Ninja Turtles.
The steam coming out of the the drains,
the sewer, the streets. Oh, that's what I mean. It's exactly how people portray it. It's like there is no embellishment. There's no making it look more fantastical than it is.
Yeah.
It's like the steam coming out, and it's like, oh yeah, this is it,
So
and it smelled of Parmesan cheese.
Yes.
They had when we went there. There was
the
New York garbage people were on strike.
They always are,
and they always are. Yeah, apparently. So there was bags of trash everywhere. Lined up because they were not collecting trash because they were in the unions were in a dispute with the city about pay.
I think every time I've been to New York, it's been like that.
It's like, we're not picking up trash here anymore, so you're gonna have to live with the Parmesan cheese smell.
Yeah.
And it was like stuff that was, people sticking it down the sewer and everything, stinking up the place with Parmesan cheese.
So really quickly before we run out of time, what were some of the things that you specifically really, really wanted to see or eat before you went to New York?
Times Square, obviously.
Things you had in mind that you really wanted to check off the list,
Times Square, obviously.
Yeah.
The Dakota Building. I wanted to see that.
Again,
and Central
we're big Beatles fans.
Yeah, so...
for anyone who doesn't know
John Lennon lived there in the last years of his life in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Central Park.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see the Bethesda Fountain. I didn't know what it was called, I remember, but we happened upon it in Central Park, and I was like, this is it. This is where they film everything.
Yeah.
In New York, and you were like, oh, is it? And I was like, yeah, this is where... he was running to get away from Harry and Marvin.
Yeah, I totally couldn't see it until you said that because I had never been there all the times I've been to New York. Yeah. That was my first time too. But as soon as Dominic said, "Oh yeah, there," and they came through with the little carriage, and then he got in the back and he hit, I was like, "Oh yes, yes, this is where we are."
Yeah, and there's an archway there as well, right thing, and they filmed a lot of stuff there.
Oh yeah.
It's so recognizable now.
Yeah.
The Bethesda Fountain, the Plaza Hotel.
Yeah.
New York's most exciting hotel experience. Yeah, I got all my information about New York from Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
Credit card? You got it.
Yeah.
Macy's. We went to see Macy's because of that Miracle on 34th Street. Another movie.
Yeah. Well, we went, it was Christmas time, which is the perfect time to visit New York City if you've never been, or just if you have been and never been at that time of year, because it's the most Christmassy place. So yeah, we definitely wanted
the Rockefeller tree. Yeah, we want to see that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we definitely wanted to do the tree in Rockefeller Plaza and Rockefeller Center.
Yeah.
And Macy's and a bunch of the other department stores do big Christmas window displays. Yeah, so that was something we wanted to do. So it
started snowing a bit when we were in New York too, didn't it? Yeah. We went to the Empire State, but we didn't go up the Empire State. We just sat on the floor in the lobby and got kicked out.
Yes.
We were so tired because we walked all over. I was wearing Converse sneakers. And I guess you were in flats too, and it was, walking all day, you get tired, and there's nowhere to sit down. So we were around, and we just sat on the floor, and it was like, oh, no, you can't sit. As soon as we started, the guy freaked out.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So we found a little, bench area, didn't we, to sit down.
Yeah, we just were like, okay, let's just sit
and
here,
some
and
tourists
we'll
wanted
call
to take
my
our
mom
photo
real quick or something. I think we wanted to call my mom.
There's a photo of me on the phone.
I know, why? The story I think is going to go into your food.
Yeah,
lead into your food section. We
went to Liberty. We went to Liberty, the Statue of Liberty.
Oh yeah,
Liberty Island, and we visited Ellis Island and did the tour there.
Yeah,
and we visited Ground Zero too.
Yeah,
and we recorded a bit there, didn't we? We recorded a thing for the museum or whatever it was, and it was just being built then.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so we decided we weren't going to go up the Empire State Building because it was freaking freezing outside.
And yeah, you would have frozen to death.
I was just like, this is not the time of year to go up.
So we got in the lobby and it was cold. We just sat down and I was like, oh no, you can't, no.
Yeah, we were on the search for a specific thing. So we were going to call my mom and get her to... I guess we didn't have a smartphone in 2010.
No, it wasn't. No, because I just looked at the photo and I'm on that little red flip phone. That little red flip phone that just disappeared.
It was like it had a slide out keyboard and everything. Yeah, it was kind of like a BlackBerry type thing, or I don't know what. Anyway, again, off topic. So we sat down, we were going to call my mom, have her go on the internet and find us the food item that we were looking for, which I won't spoil because he's going to talk about food in a second. And we were like, oh my God, our feet are killing us. So we sat down on the floor, half a second, and the guy's like, oh, you can't sit here, you got to get up. Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, they're like, it's totally fine if you're standing, but you can't sit there. It's like,
yeah, okay. No, because we're basically being loitering. You know, we're basically loitering, and there's a big no at loitering.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess people were probably still at work and stuff, and the building was open and all of that.
We were just like, we just need to sit down. So we found somewhere else, didn't we, to sit down? But it was outside, so it was it was freezing cold.
Anyway, so moving on to the food.
That
you wanted.
The one thing
you
I was searching for when I got to New York that I wanted to get in New York City was New York style cheesecake.
Yes.
And that is what I wanted. You know, I was like, we've got to find cheesecake.
Yeah.
From a cheesecake place.
And we had no idea.
And we didn't have internet on the phone. This was pre-smartphone days, I think, wasn't it?
How things have changed in 10 years. I don't even know. Yeah. We didn't know where the best place. I mean, you could go anywhere and get cheesecake, but we wanted to go somewhere that had good reviews. So that's why we were calling my mom. We were like, look on Yelp. Find us somewhere that has really good reviews for being really good cheesecake. Her boyfriend grew up half the time in New York City, so she was with him. We were like, ask him where to go, where has great cheesecake in the city.
And apparently, we didn't know. Is the Carnegie Deli?
Yeah.
She said, go to the Carnegie Deli. It's around here, whatever,
Yeah.
And so we went to the Carnegie Deli, and it was packed.
It was packed,
It was absolutely
packed.
packed.
This must be a good place.
Heaving. Heaving, mate.
We had no idea what the place was. I mean, we're such out-of-towners.
We're such out-of-towners, yeah. And so we got seated with this couple from Canada.
Yeah.
And, that's apparently okay, and they were, like, going through, and there's like, and they were, like, they were on there, like...
We come twice a year.
Twice a year, and we always eat here, and do this, and So we just came for cheesecake, and the guy said,
But we had just eaten, too,
We had just eaten, so we just wanted cheesecake. So we'll have cheesecake, and you like, oh, that's a huge cheesecake.
Yeah, we saw somebody bring one.
They were coming out, I mean, we didn't know it was the Carnegie Deli.
Yeah.
We didn't know how big this place was. We didn't know it was right across from Carnegie Hall. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so we saw Carnegie Hall, but in the Carnegie Deli, we thinking, it's just But this place was massively popular,
Yeah.
And they used to make these sandwiches, that were piled high.
Yeah,
and
the celebrities have been
all the celebrities have been there. It's closed now. It's completely gone, I think.
I think so. Yeah. They closed, and then they came back.
And then they closed again, and now they've completely gone.
I guess they're still closed, yeah.
Yeah. So we just wanted cheesecake, and we said to the guy, can we get cheesecake? And he was like, can we just get one piece and split it? And he was like, no splitting.
Yeah, we saw that they were huge.
You do not split here.
We saw that the pieces of cheesecake were huge, and we were like, we just had dinner, we had eaten somewhere else, and neither one of us wanted a really huge piece of cheesecake each,
Yeah.
And so they were like, oh, no, you can't split. And so we were just like, oh, what? We were already there.
He said, no split for you.
No. We were already there, so we were just like,
yeah, he kind of got a bit irate about it, as I remember. And we were just like, okay, just like
2 slices of cheesecake for $25. I know, maybe that's not a lot to some people.
It's not a lot to some people, but when you think of how big that piece was, you would have been eating it for a week.
Yes.
If I'd let you. I mean, I finished mine off, I think, in the place.
Yeah.
Didn't I?
I don't think either one of us did. I don't know. Maybe you did. Actually,
it was a huge piece of cheesecake. It was delicious. It was exactly what I wanted. And the couple next to us were like, "Oh, how can you eat that big piece?" Oh,
I was absolutely fuming though because we didn't want 2 slices in the first place, much less to spend $25 on 2 ginormous freaking pieces of cheesecake that we didn't even want.
It was boiling hot in there because it was heaving. We were sitting down. We thought, sod it. We're just gonna. Yeah. That's what we're gonna do.
It was good.
But the best meal we had there was that pizza place. And that was close to the Letterman Theatre. That was close to the Ed Sullivan Theatre, I'm sure of it. $2
for a huge slice of pizza.
A huge slice of pizza and a Coke.
Yeah. Or was it 2 pieces of pizza and a Coke?
Maybe. We both got a slice
each.
I don't
know, but they were huge. The slices of pizza were huge. And I was just like, $25 for 2 pieces of cheesecake and $2 for a delicious slice of pizza and a Coke.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
We also I was kind of like craving Indian food.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, let's go to the Brick Lane Curry House. We're in Little India. Let's do this. And it was just hilarious because we went in there. Nobody else was in there except for maybe one other couple.
Yeah.
And the waiter was actually British.
Yeah.
He was actually a British guy.
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious because in Britain, none of the waiters are British. They're all Indian.
Yeah.
Or of Indian descent or whatever,
Yeah.
So that was quite funny to me.
He was a white British guy.
He was a white British guy, yeah.
Yeah. Which, New York City.
New York City. So yeah, we did that and then we walked into Little Italy, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that's where you had your, we were in Little Italy and we heard this coming from a restaurant. And you were just like, oh, and that was your checklist checked, wasn't it?
It was so like stereotypical
Godfather-ish
Little Italy, New York City kind of a moment,
Yeah.
It was just like it was classic. It was just like across the street, a big group of people like met another big group of people, and they were all, I guess, probably family or long lost friends or something. They were all just like,
hey, what you talking about? It forget
Dominic
about
and
it.
I were just like, oh, MG.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a good time.
Yeah, I think we got pizza in Little Italy though. It was Original Ray's, I think.
We went to Original Ray's, yes. We did so much.
Yeah.
And we were only there for like a week.
It was not as good as the cheap pizza.
It was not as good as the cheap pizza.
But there's so many places that claim to be Original Ray's.
Yeah, and we don't know if that was the original Ray's.
The one we went to was.
It was.
I looked that up before we went over there.
The one thing that disappointed me, however, about that New York was we went to Wall Street.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw a pretzel stand, and I was like, yes, I want one of those massive pretzels that I see, people eating. I'd seen tourists having them, just like, just like passing on the street. I was like, yeah, I want one of them.
Yeah.
So we went and got one, and I was thinking, oh, it's going to be a hard pretzel. It's going to be like the hard
Oh, you thought that? Oh, I didn't realize that.
I didn't.
No wonder why you were disappointed.
It was going to be like a hard pretzel. It was going to,
Yeah.
So we got one. I was like, and I was like, oh, it feels a bit soft. I bit into it. It's like, oh, it's soft.
Yeah.
I was like, no, it's got to be hard, like a crunch. It's got to have a crunch to it. And I was kind of disappointed.
I mean,
because
the outside should be a little bit crispy. I mean,
it was crispy.
Crispy,
it was very
crunchy.
salty.
It was not salty. That's why I was disappointed. There was absolutely no flavor to it whatsoever.
Yeah, no. We didn't get any toppings for it. Usually they have like mustard or ketchup, don't they? It's like for a savory one.
Well, mustard, I think, yeah.
But usually I would have, if there was Nutella on offer, then yeah, it probably would have. it would have upped the experience tenfold, you know. So
our bagels were not disappointing.
The bagels were really good. Yeah,
the hot dogs.
The hot dogs were good.
Are always good.
Yeah. I mean, they pay like $2 million for a renting space there, don't they? You know, it's not actually $2 million, but it's something extortionate like that.
Yeah.
It's almost $1 million, I think.
I don't know exactly how much it is, but it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculously, you know, so they've got to make that money back and...
Yeah, because they're just renting the space. Like, the little cart is theirs, you know?
The little cart is theirs, the hot dogs are theirs, you know, they're just renting the little tiny square
where they're parked.
Where they're plugging it from.
Yeah. Another thing, if you guys have never been to New York City, that you will find in the winter particularly, and should definitely get, there's no way you won't get them because you can smell them a mile away, are the honey roasted peanuts.
Honey roasted peanuts, yeah.
So good.
Those were good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very delicious. Just what you need on a cold winter's night. Yeah.
But yeah, so...
that was New York for you. How did you enjoy our trip down memory lane?
Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. Let us know your experiences with visiting New York City, if you had any similar experiences. If you ate any delicious food that we didn't mention that we should eat on our next trip, because I would love to go back. I can't believe it's been 10 years.
We're gonna go back.
That's just like... crazy.
Gonna make plans once this whole COVID thing is done with.
Jeez, yeah. But
lockdown anyway.
I think that'll do us. We're way over time, so we're gonna wrap it up.
Wrap it up quickly.
Thank you so much for listening. As always, we appreciate your support so much, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.